was a promising beginning for independent Nigeria as a nation taking off on its own in October 1960 with the lowering of the Union Jack, the British symbol of authority, and the hoisting of the new green-white-green flag. Many, including the leadership of the new nation, were upbeat about its great potentials.
We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us.
Many reasons were responsible for the optimism that echoed around the world. Taking off on a tripod of North, East, and West, making up its three regional governance structure, Nigeria was rooted in strong fiscal federalism that encouraged a healthy rivalry among the regions. There are those who argued that the development witnessed under the regional arrangement and physical infrastructure developed then, had they been sustained, will have taken Nigeria to the heights that the entire world expects of the country that is also the most populous black nation. The huge human and natural resources, including crude oil, that partly fueled the initial optimism about Nigeria seem to have counted for nothing, and many trace the origin of the challenge to the military intervention in the country's governance just 6 years after its independence. Although the military boys came in cloaked as saviors, coming in to correct the corruption and recklessness of the political class, their reigns left the nation worse, as they did not only destroy its democratic fabric, economic and financial corruption grew to an enviable height under them. They collapsed the regional arrangement and forced a unitary system that took a lot of power from the sub-regional governments. The new nation under the military also witnessed a civil war that killed an estimated 3 million Nigerians, a development that many feel still haunts the nation till date, despite attempts at rebuilding and reintegration.
I, Olusegun Obasanjo,
do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The return of democracy in 1999 after a cumulative 29 years of military rule presented another hope for the African powerhouse to take a leap towards the anticipated growth. Although the Obasanjo regime tried to put things right by mending the badly damaged economy and building illegally dilapidated infrastructure, Nigeria's foreign debts were deftly negotiated and cleared. Some key infrastructure were also put in place, but there was gross mismanagement of resources, especially oil revenue, by politicians who felt that the return of democracy was equivalent to another opportunity to corner the nation's resources, despite the setting up of special anti-corruption agencies under the same regime. If Nigerians were hoping for a correction of the mistake of the military boys and a great improvement in their socio-economic well-being with the return of the civil rule, only a tiny bit of that expectation was met by the time Obasanjo was leaving power 8 years after. The return of democracy didn't automatically transform their fortune. Indeed, their democratic right was worsened with some of the worst elections conducted under the regime that Obasanjo's successor, Umar Yar'Adua, admitted that the election that brought him in was hugely flawed. Yar'Adua initiated an electoral reform by instituting a committee led by a former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mohammed Uwais, which made a set of far-reaching recommendations, but Yar'Adua didn't live to see to the implementation of the reforms. His successors, including his former deputy, didn't have the courage to implement the recommendations, which would have brought a huge credibility to the process. Electoral contest is still a huge source of national discontent, with the 2023 national elections still undergoing judicial reviews 7 months after they were concluded. Perhaps the biggest challenge since the return of democracy in 1999 is that of national insecurity, insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest and north central, violent resource control agitations in the south, and crimes in the southwest, as well as secessionist agitations in the southeast. While the patriotic security forces have made a huge sacrifice to put the situations under control, insecurity seems to have maintained its chokehold on Africa's biggest economy. Now, 63 years after, what used to make up the regions have dissolved into the 6 geopolitical zones, 36 states, a federal capital territory, and 774 local councils. The fiscal federalism that drove the development and shape of relations between the regions and the center has been replaced with unitary federalism, where the center wields enormous powers, cornering 52% of revenue allocation as against the regional control of such resources, with a contribution of 50% to the pool at the center after independence. The distortion of that template is seen by many as one of the reasons the country is currently engulfed in ethno-religious, socio-political and economic crises. That is why many are calling for a political reform that guarantees a strong fiscal federalism like it was at independence. Marking the 63rd independence anniversary of Nigeria for many citizens is just a reminder of the potentials and what their nation could have been with proper and a more inspiring leadership and resource management. Millions of them will be marking the day thinking of where their next meal is to come from and wondering if by some magic the next Independence Day celebration could come with some relief from the current socio-economic burden that is choking the majority. The answer to that, some believe, is dependent on how well the citizens themselves are prepared to engage with the leadership to check the erosion of values that now promote celebration of wealth, no matter the source, rather than the societal norm of emphasizing hard work and value addition to the collective good. Tokunbo Oyetunji, Arise News, Lagos.